Hey guys, welcome back to Multifloral Orchids, and thanks for checking in. We're going to go over the group of Paphiopedilums. We'll give you guys a kind of a brief overview of the entire group of them, the subgenus Paphiopedilum. We've got all of our paths now grouped by their different groupings, and we'll go over all of them and kind of show you, compare them, what you can expect maybe if you want to get some within that grouping, and we'll share some of our experiences with them. Now, very quick overview, there's like 60 different species or more now that make up the Paphiopedilums. And again, they're grouped into like 7, 8 different groups, I guess, depending on who you look at or whatever. I don't know. We're still kind of, there's a lot to digest in them. But we grow pretty much all species paths. We don't grow really many hybrids. We only have a couple. And we enjoy the species. I don't know. I don't want to get into that whole debate like species. Like, we're not species snobs. I just enjoy them more. I think I like kind of the unique characteristics. When you get hybrids, a lot of times it seems to like wash out some of the unique traits of the flowers and the plants. And anyway, so let's get into it. We'll start right at the top. So up here we have the Parvisepalum. So these, we have a couple in each subgroup. We've got the Delanatii in back, then the Micranthum up in front. Now, I should have said right at the beginning as well that we grow all of our paths, with only 1 or 2 exceptions. We grow all of them in semi-hydroponics. And also we give them all identical care as far as when we water them, when we feed them, how much light. Well, we kind of adjust the light and we kind of fiddle with little microclimates and try to give them. But generally speaking, they all grow in this little room right here, not in these locations. So I should specify that. For this video, I've just kind of moved them around to group them so we can compare them. So let's start again. The Parvisepalum, the Delanatii in back, and the Micranthum. These two are a couple of the exceptions to our watering regime that we want to start doing. We need to keep these, I think, drier in winter. Now, the Micranthum, which, by the way, is our logo here at Multifloral Orchids, that is the flower that bloomed from that little stalk right there that's dead a couple years ago now, I guess. Anyways, that flower is awesome. And then it grew this new growth, which then rotted. And then it started a second new growth, which still, I don't want to disturb it too much, but I'll show you. It still is growing, so it's looking, yeah, it's still keeping this really old leaf, and I guess that's good to shade it. Anyway, I think we need to keep this one drier, and the same with the Delanatii. This one blasted its first bud, that you can kind of see the old stalk from the oldest growth there. And then put on a couple new growths. The oldest of the new growths, which is about 1.5 years old now, this kind of died. One of the leaves died, and yeah, I don't know. I think we need to keep it drier and warmer during the winters. You can notice kind of some of the similarities in the foliage here with the Parvisepalums. And then that continues to a very closely related subgroup, which is the Brachypetalums, of which, again, we have a couple of them. One is another small one, the Paphiopedilum, Paphiopedilum. And then this one in back is the Brachypetalum. So I'll put the names up on the screen. Note the modeling and the foliage, the compact leaf growth from the Brachypetalums, generally speaking. I mean, of course, there's always different plants, and not all of them are going to look exactly like this. I mean, obviously, there are size differences. The Tyanum and the Micranthum are the 2 smallest paths that we have now in our collection. They're yeah, they're very compact, very small growers, love them. But we did try to cross-pollinate the Tyanum with the Bellatulum. So these two embryos starting to swell a little bit on the Tyanum, and then the cross-pollination with the Bellatulum, that one's looking pretty good. I'm super happy, so we'll keep giving you updates on those. Yeah, so that's the Brachypetalums, and you can see how kind of closely they resemble in morphology, leaf growth and patterning, and just the dark coloration. We typically do grow these in a bit lower light, so these are not usually grown up here in the top shelf with the light and the sun in the morning. In like our Phalaenopsis light is where we grow these guys typically. So then we'll move down all the way to the bottom now, which is where the actual true Paphiopedilum. So these are kind of next on like the, I guess, closely related gene pool thing of paphs. These are the true paphs, Paphiopedilum, Paphiopedilum. This is one of the larger subgroups, and we have quite a few in this group. We'll start kind of at the back with the hirsutissimum. Large plant, it's actually, I don't know if I can show it. Yeah, I'm going to dump all the water out. I think some of these are maybe about to put on some blooms. That could be a little sheath leaf, but these are some older mature growths. I mean, on the older ones, there's some new stuff coming out too. So, and then the Charlesworthii. Yeah, notorious slow growers. I just want to pause and say that I kind of, well, how do I want to say it? It's a bit frustrating when people, rag on these. Like, there's definitely like a Paphiopedilum kind of subcult, I think, of people who are really into paphs. And then there's other people who really don't like them or don't really care for them. I got to tell you, I mean, I am really fascinated by them, and I like how easy they are to grow. Even the species, in our climate and what we have here as far as our water conditions, like our tap water is really good for them. They really love it. And our weather, humidity-wise, and amount of sunlight and heat and temperatures, these guys tend to be cool growers and mostly maintain moisture around the root zone. They seem to like that, generally speaking. So yeah, I guess we can grow them easily in semi-hydroponics, and they really respond well. Now, they do grow slow, so I think that is something that new growers or people who maybe want to get into it should be prepared for. But all orchids are slow growing. Let's face it. I mean, the orchids aren't like known for being fast growers. But of course, some of these, like, okay, so now back to it, like the Charlesworthii, we have noticed, we've owned, by the way, we've owned all of these plants, well, most of our plants here for about over 3 years, some going on 4 years now. And yeah, this is one of the oldest ones we've had, and it's barely grown. Like in those years, it's like matured a couple leaves, and now these little leaves have been growing for 6 or 8 months, just like that. That was like last year's leaf growth, and they're still growing. So they are quite slow growers, but that's okay. I mean, I really like the plants. I think they look cool. Anyway, continuing on now, back into it. So here right next we have the Gratrixianum, and again a nice mid-size. So that's kind of the nice thing about the true Paphiopedilums is I think most of these would be considered like mid-size growers, middle to upper large growers in the paphs. They have not as much modeling as say the Parvisepalums and Brachyopedilums. But the foliage, like on Charlesworthii, there is some cool, patterning coming on there, and not variegation per se. But anyway, then continuing over, then we have the Paphixule. So that's the Paphixule. Again, a little bit of kind of weird kind of patterning. This guy is also looking promising for blooming sometime soon. Not sure about the Gotrixianum, so it probably won't bloom again until next winter. We have like 3 or 4 growing little fans on there that promise, and the same 1 or 2 mature fans on the Exul that hopefully will come on and give us some flowers soon. We'll see. Now then we have a Barbigerum, also Cochineum. So I'm not sure exactly because both of these are listed as species. Now this says Barbigerum variation Cochineum. So I'm not sure. Now this is a small plant. This one is a new addition to our collection. So one of the newest plants that we've acquired just this year. And yeah, already put it into semi-hydro, already starting to put on a new leaf since then, so looking really good. But I think still a little bit ways away. Now this is supposedly one of the smaller bloomers, so hopefully this plant will bloom sometime in the next year or two. It supposedly, again, is a smaller Paphiopedilum. Like this looks like the average leaf size compared to what we see on some of the pages online. So, not sure there. We'll see if it blooms, when it blooms. And then Spicerianum. If you follow our channel, you know my frustration. You can see this little red, like, little thing pointing out there. That thing has been just kind of teasing me for so long. I thought it was going to bloom. Anyways, it's part of the same group, True Paphiopedilums. So, supposedly these guys are very easy growers, easy to bloom. Love the, just like a lot of them have, you know, kind of, oops, this purplish, you know, spotting and stuff down towards the base of the stem, the fan. So I love that. It's got some nice markings, and it is a good grower. Now this one tended to get a little floppy. I'm not sure what happened last fall. It got a little floppy. Hopefully it doesn't do that again this fall. So I'm not sure. Gotta maybe give it more light. I'm not sure. We've been putting it in the highest light that we can give it inside here and the most warmth. So that's what we've been trying. Hopefully we can get it to bloom. We'll see. And yeah, then the Escarolii are also part of this group, the True Paphiopedilums. These are kind of some of the larger ones in the group, along with the Hirsutissimum. These ones are pretty large growers, I would say. I mean, they're on the larger end anyway for us. And yeah, hopefully they look like they might be starting to bloom soon. We'll see. We'll keep you posted. We have 2 of these guys, 2 Escarolii albas. They're both albas. This one is like a named cross, so it's hopefully got better genes. Again, maybe starting to put on a little sheath leaf. Hopefully it blooms. I'll show you the cross on this one if you're interested. Yeah, this is the Escarolii album. Yeah, white wings crossed with Anha. So we'll see. Hopefully that blooms true and nice and good. I have no idea what it's going to look like, of course. Oh well, I'll put that in later. Just don't lose it. Okay, so then right above them, a bit of the smaller growers, Sigmatopetalums. Yeah, Sigmatopetalums. These are the group that's closely related to the Paphiopedilums, but you can see generally these are smaller growers. These guys are all like blooming size, have bloomed before. Well, not every one of them, but generally speaking, you know, you can expect these to be smaller, more leaf modeling, more prominent modeling on the leaves, and some really cool leaf patterning. So the colossum is this guy. We love the modeling on the foliage. I love these leaves. This is such a cool plant. I'm hoping the flower will improve. I've said it before, I'm just not happy with how the bloom looks. It's not very true to the species, although it was a first bloom, so hopefully it'll improve. We'll see. I hate to get rid of it because, man, this is just such cool foliage. The Venustum album, this one also has, yeah, not exactly bloomed true, so we'll call this Venustum albescens. That was suggested by one of the people on the Orchid board, and I really like it. So it's technically not an alba, I guess. I'm not going to change the tag, but I'm going to call it an albescens. I like that. And yeah, then here's the Mastercianum. Mastercianum. And yeah, this is again one of this one is one we picked up in the last couple of years. Wasn't one of our kind of original burst of buying a bunch of Paphiopedilums, which most of all of these species are. We have a few. These are the only 3 hybrids that we have of Paphiopedilums. And so we'll just cover these real quick because they are closely related. Like here is the Maudii vinicolor, Schwarzmadonna. It's or super waxy, dark purple flower, but you can tell it does have some colossum in the background of it. So you can see that patterning in the leaves from the colossum. It is a complex hybrid. The Maudii types, there's so many of them, I mean. Then moving over, we have Venustum crossed with Philippinensis. So this is kind of like a bit of, not an intergeneric, but it's more of a stretch in the paths. Now, this plant did blast its first bud, so we don't actually know what this looks like, and we're hopeful that this new growth will produce something. It's looking good. The new fan is looking healthy, so I don't know. I just chalk that up to first time jitters in the plant. Hopefully it'll bloom. It'll bloom true. And then this super complex cross, path cross here, this hybrid emerald crossed with Zenhaida. It also, I think, has colossum in the background, if I remember right, or Maudii. I can't remember. This is a really complex hybrid. I think it's Maudii that's in the emerald cross. Zenhaida is even more complex. So this was a deflast seedling that we tried. The other 3 are doing much, much better. They're in semi-hydroponics as well, but they're in a 3-plant semi-hydro compote, and they've done so much better. They're at work. I keep saying I'll get pictures of them or video, but anyway, moving down, to the next, like, I guess, related group. These are kind of the big multifloral strap-leaf green Paphiopedilums. These guys are amazing. We love them so much. So they are the Polyanthas, the Polyantha. And we'll kind of start at the back. Now you can tell in the Polyantha, like if you're looking for some of those big multifloral with the really cool twirly petals and interesting colorations. I mean, these to me are some of the more interesting of the Paphiopedilum group. They just are cool. And we're really happy that we have a few of them and that they're doing good. I mean, again, they're all in semi-hydroponics. We grow them all the same way. Now, this is a bit more light than we have them in typically. But they do seem to do better with a little bit higher light and higher temperatures. But you can see there's, not really much modeling at all, so to speak, in this group. Yeah, the Polyanthas are just really cool, but you got to have space for them or make space for them. Plan on them getting big. And if you buy one of these that is small, well, you can expect quite a while, at least a couple years before you'll see a bloom. But hang in there and have patience. And so we'll kind of start at the back, the adductum. That's this guy, again, adductum multifloral. We have not had this bloom. We've had this plant for over 2.5 years now, and yep, not had it bloom yet, but it's always grown and looking healthy. And then we'll kind of go back to this one, the amidum. The amidum, dark angel. So this one is a selfing, but it has a, it's of a named cultivar, so it should hopefully be be a good true bloomer. Now, like all of these, again, I'm not sure if they're going to grow new leaves now or start blooming soon. Yeah, there's no, I mean, yeah, I guess there's so many different seasons, or when they should bloom in the season. But typically, you're thinking like in the late winter, early spring, it seems like most of ours are blooming into summer. Then continuing around, there's the lowii, what we're going to call Paphiopedilum now because we spelled it wrong in our last walkthrough video, or at least the path part. And so now it is a fitting title because, Paphiopedilum here is our first semi-hydroponics experiment with Paphiopedilums. This plant is the oldest Paphiopedilum that we have. Well, at least it's the first one that we bought anyway, so it's the oldest in our collection. So yeah, definitely hoping, fingers crossed, that it will bloom from the oldest fan, the seedling fan that we had. And it has a nice new growing fan over here on the left-hand side, you can see. Then I guess we'll show the the Philippinenza. So this is the Philippinenza. This is an albiform. We did a close-up of this last year. The petals have a weird little twist at the end, so they don't droop and hang and twirl kind of like they should. So again, this one, and there's some... It's always had this like weird little splotches on the leaves. So this plant actually we don't keep with the other ones just because typically, like I know it's contacting now, and yes, if it is some kind of a virus, it could spread right now or something. But generally this plant does not grow with the others. We kind of have it separated by the door. But it does have a nice new growth, which the leaves on the new fan, the oldest new fan, look really good. And there's a couple other new growths over here that, I don't know, they look okay, but they've shown more signs of like discoloration down in the growing crown point there. And yeah, some of the little splotches have shown up on the leaves. So I don't know. This plant, though, it did bloom for us in early 2023, so over a year ago now it's bloomed. And I'm not sure when it's going to bloom again, if it will bloom again. We just got to keep an eye on it and see. But then related to that, there's a Robelinii, which is also part of the Philippinenza family. It's a form, a variation of Philippinenza as far as we understand. That plant is, again, a much larger strap leaf looking plant. Now this one just does look a little different than the others in the group, so I'm not sure. It's a more compact grower. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with the fact that it's an alba form. I don't know. Just but the Robelinii kind of looks more like all the other Polyanthas. It's just a big strap-leafed green grower, pretty tall, pretty hardy. Now these are more like waxy leaves, not the leathery that you see in like the Brachypetalums and stuff. Gotta love these guys. And then also in that group, kind of saved the best for last, because we do have in spike now the Parvisepalum, which is also in the Polyantha group. It's our biggest Paphiopedilum. I mean, I gotta zoom way out and show everything kind of mess. Oh, I didn't put the server on them. Oh, well, there's the server on them. So okay, the Parvisepalum, as you can see, it's a very large Paphiopedilum, and I thought that the stake I put in was going to be tall enough, and it's not really tall enough, and so I ran out of space on it for the staking out. It's going to put on, it looks like 4 flowers this time. So yeah, that's awesome, and it's just starting to crack open, and look how dark and purple. I'm hoping that they continue to stay purple, and We'll see how the twisting is. Well, I mean, hopefully they keep blooming. Well, nothing's for sure, right? I shouldn't count the chickens before they hatch. And last in our collection is the most distantly related subgroup, which is the Cochlopetalums. They're the most distantly related from the Parvisepalums and the Brachypetalums. So these guys are kind of down at the, let's say, the bottom of the list, but the Limionum, these guys can be multifloral, and so this one should be putting on 5. I think it's got 2 more flowers. Hopefully they all bloom. I think our pollination attempt has failed on that flower. It's still holding on and looking brand new, almost. So that one looks good. You can see these are quite, the Limionum is a quite large plant, so these also do have some mottling on the foliage. So the foliage is quite nice, and it has wonderful, really deep spotting down in the stem, which is great. Vigorous grower, really long inflorescence. So cool plant there, Limionum in bloom. And then the last one we have is the Primulinum. This plant for us is, I don't know, one of the, I guess, the newer ones. We got this in 2023, so just over a year ago. And yeah, we kept it in bark, so we're kind of trying to grow it in bark. But anyways, also a larger grower with some very fine, kind of faint mottling all over the leaves. So yeah, really nice plant. Hopefully this one is also maybe starting to bloom. So it's just cracking open, growing its new little growth, and got a little sheath leaf put on and starting to crack open. So I'm thinking now is the time for the Cochlopetalums to come into bloom. Thanks for checking in, guys. Hope you're having a good one. Go out and get you some Paphiopedilums. They're actually way better than the internet would make you think. We'll see you back here soon.